Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well. Let's read Matthew 27 verse 16 to 21. At that time they had a well-known prisoner whose name was Jesus Barabbas. So when the crowd had gathered, Pilate asked him, "Which one do you want me to release to you, Jesus Barabbas or Jesus who's called the Messiah?" For he knew it was out of self-interest that they had handed Jesus over to him. But the chief priest and the elders persuaded the crowd to ask for Barabbas and to have Jesus executed. "Which of the two do you want me to release to you?" asked the governor. "Barabbas," they answered.
Barabbas. Just like Judas, we have to ask the question, why is he even there? The story works perfectly well without him. So let's do a bit of background. Barabbas possibly means Barabbas, son of a father. Not very helpful. Or perhaps Barabbas, son of a rabbi. Equally not very helpful. But probably both names suggest that whoever his father was, he was really well known. Now there's a persistent tradition that his first name was Jesus. In fact, some of our Greek manuscripts record this. That's why the NIV calls him Jesus Barabbas. Barabbas and two others are scheduled to be executed on the day before the Passover celebration. It's going to be very public, and the Romans are making a not very subtle point. Let's not have any trouble over this Passover, because if we do, this is what's going to happen to you. Now at Passover, there is an expression in Hebrew, Zman Harutenu, the season of our freedom. And the Romans are quietly pointing at these three crosses and saying, well, actually, that's how free you really are. Barabbas and the two others are called robbers or bandits. But this is a technical term, much the same way that we might use the word terrorist. In the different Gospels, he's called a murderer, and he's also called an insurrectionist, again, terrorist. He's probably trying to overthrow the Romans. Now it's a little bit early, but there was a group called the Saccari who would mingle in the busy festival crowds looking for Roman sympathizers like the Sadducees and quietly assassinating them before disappearing off into the crowds. Maybe this is who Barabbas was. So now you understand why he's going to be executed and why it's going to be now. By an incredible twist of fate, come the end of the day, Barabbas will find himself a free man, and the other Jesus will be executed on a cross that was meant for him. It comes about because Pilate is really reluctant to execute Jesus, and he offers the crowd a swap with Barabbas. Now Pilate is being devious. He's offering the priests somebody who's been trying to kill them. How badly do you really want Jesus put to death? Badly enough for me to release someone that's trying to kill you? Pilate has misjudged the partisan crowd. They're there because the priests have assembled them. They don't represent the ordinary Jerusalemites. So Barabbas is set free and Jesus is executed. Now, if you were Barabbas, what would you do? Maybe you'd go out and celebrate. Most likely you'd head for the hills just in case the Romans changed their minds. Let's imagine that Barabbas took the least likely option and hung around to see what would happen to this Jesus. So Pilate has Jesus whipped. It's truly gruesome. And when Barabbas sees this broken figure presented to the crowd, he thinks to himself, that was gonna be me. Jesus is ritually humiliated. Robe, crown of thorns. That was gonna be me. And when he carries his cross through the narrow streets of Jerusalem, Barabbas is perhaps following. That was going to be me. And when his hands and his feet are nailed to the wood, that was going to be me. and he's hung between earth and sky, slowly dying. That was going to be me. Now the point here that just like I'm Judas, I'm also Barabbas. And Barabbas is there in the account to explain what loose-tongued theologians call vicarious substitution. Jesus died in my place. He died instead of me. He got what I deserved, and I got set free. Consequently, I got what he deserved: righteousness, glory, acceptance. I got life. I got freedom. Jesus took my place. I'm guilty. He was innocent. He died instead of me. And now I am accepted by God. For Christ also suffered once for sins, the righteous for the unrighteous, to bring you to God. He was put to death in the body, but made alive in the spirit. You see, at just the right time, when we were still powerless, Christ died for the ungodly. Very rarely will anyone die for a righteous person, though perhaps for a good person someone might possibly dare to die. But God demonstrates his own love for us in this: while we were still sinners, Christ died for us.